So welcome back. In today's lecture, basically, I am going to talk about the input-output linearization. So till now, what we have observed that I have some system, and particularly I am talking about some very special class of system. And if you remember that I have represented system like this: x equal to fx plus gx into u. For time being, I am just going to talk about those class of system which is of this following form, and here obviously I'm assuming x belongs to Rn and u belongs to Rp if you remember the previous class. And what I am telling that I have some input ut and output I have all states. So I am not considering any specific output in the previous class, but in today's lecture we are going to become specific, because if you see any practical system, then situation is like this. I have input, I have certain kind of output yt, and I have intermediate state xt, something like this. So here in this first one configuration, means this is 1 and this is configuration 2, here you can see that what is our basic idea. I want to apply or design some kind of control such that after applying some kind of control, this particular system, means relationship between input and output, that is converted in some specific form, and that form is looks like this. So I have defined transformation for that purpose, tx, and after applying this transformation, what basically we are claiming that I am going to convert system into this specific form u minus alpha x. And after that, what we have observed that if I design control u, that is nothing but gamma inverse x, I am assuming that gamma is invertible, and after that this is some v and plus some kind of alpha x. So if you apply this kind of control here, then final structure I have, that is linear, and that structure az plus b into nu. So I have this kind of structure. So this linearization is called input to state linearization. So you can see that here I am not worrying about the output, I am just worrying the relationship between input and output. And during this process, if you do not worry about the output, try to see that using this particular transformation, is it possible to claim that output also become linear or not linear? Okay, so what I am telling that, okay, by this transformation, using this transformation, still I do not know how to define this transformation, but we are telling okay, there exists some kind of transformation, and in previous class I have already told you that we are assuming that this transformation is differentiable as well as invertible, so that will satisfy the property of diffeomorphism also. And then if we are lucky enough, then it is possible to show that I will get this kind of linear system, and in this whole design I am assuming that a and b is controllable. Otherwise I cannot again able to design v such that I am able to push z equal to 0, and due to that reason I have to make sure that a and b is controllable also. So mathematically things looks like simple, but if you are dealing with some original problem or some practical problem, then that is a little bit involved job, that is not so straightforward, because first difficulty is to find transformation, and you can see that this transformation is no longer linear, that is non-linear transformation, and that is a state dependent transformation. Another point, that should be satisfy the property of diffeomorphism. So that is another difficulty. And after that, what I am telling, that all parameters are available. So that is another very strange assumption you can tell. And after that, we are also telling that A and B all are controllable. Then only I can able to tell that this system, after applying this control U, that is an form of control I have basically mentioned here. So basically form of control is this. So if you apply this kind of control to this system, x dot equal to fx plus gx into u, then whatever that closed loop system, that is looks like this, and this is linear system. Now let us try to examine that during this process output remains linear or not. If suppose here you try to see this particular system. So I have taken very simple example. I have second order system. So could you please comment that this second order system is linear or non-linear? Anyone? Non-linear,
Non-linear.
because I have sin x2. And what about output y equal to x2? That is linear relationship or non-linear relationship?
Linear.
Linear relationship. So we are telling that what we found here, that my system means whatever input to a state relationship, that is non-linear, but output in this particular case, that is linear. After that, what I am going to do, I am going to define some kind of transformation, and this transformation, again I am telling you that how basically this transformation comes into picture. Please do not worry for the time being, but uh, in the last of this lecture you are able to understand that why I have defined z1 equal to x1 and z2 equal to a sin x2. At least I have one way to construct this kind of transformation. But since state space representation is not unique, so I can not only claim that this transformation is only able to do feedback linearization. Apart from this, there exists another transformation also. So basically what I am going to do, I am telling that I have this particular nonlinear system, and if I define new state, that z1 equal to x1 and z2 equal to a sin x2, then try to see that in this particular coordinate frame, here basically what I am going to do, I am going to assume that u, whatever u I have selected, that is of this particular form. So try to see here, if you are defining coordinate system like this, then I have z1 dot equal to x1 dot, and you know that x1 dot equal to a sin x2. That is also give us one kind of intuition that what kind of value, because if you are talking about linear system, then that should be z2, and due to that reason, in order to make linear system, I have defined z2 like this. And after that, you have to take derivative of z2, and that is a is some kind of constant, and after that differentiation of sin x is cos x2, and after that I have x2 dot, and you know that x2 dot is nothing but I have a x1 square cos x2, and after that I have a cos x2 multiplied by u. So I have this kind of structure. Now you can see that I have some system that is in chain of integrator form, z1 dot equal to z2, z2 dot equal to this. So now I have one kind of uncertainty, that I am going to interpret that kind of uncertainty as a multiplicative uncertainty, and this as a additive uncertainty. And what basically we are doing, we are applying the inverse of the multiplicative uncertainty, and after after that whatever other uncertainty, we are going to add that here. So basically you can see that in this particular process, if I define u equal to x1 square plus 1 by a cos x2 into v, then my system is converted into this. Anyone has confusion on this? What you can do, you can just substitute u here. So once you substitute, then a cos x2 and a cos x2 is going to cancel out, and after that I have nu, and after that what happens, that another term I have, that is a cos x a cos x2 multiplied by x1 squared. So this term is also cancelled out, and due to that reason I have this kind of system now. Now please be careful here. Once you change different coordinate, at that time you have to also see your output. So in this particular process, now I can write relationship of new state variable z, and basically this x2. So I have to calculate x2 from here, and it is possible to show, that is sine inverse z2 by a. So now could you please tell me that here you can see that I have z is basically transform state, and I have nu. So in terms of z and nu, this system is perfectly linear. What one can comment about the output? Is it linear?
Non-linear.
It is non-linear. It means that whenever you are talking about input to state linearization, at that time I am not sure that output also become linear. So it might possible output become quite complicated, but most of time if you are seeing the system, then we are no longer worry about the internal variable. Most of time we are just interested in input and output relationship. We are not very much worrying that what kind of internal variable, how basically condition of internal variable. Just we have to make sure that with respect to internal variable my system should be stable. That only you have to worry. But what happens in this process, I get one disadvantage, that my input to state relationship is linear, but now output relationship is non-linear. So due to that reason I have written, linearizing the state equation doesn't necessarily linearize the output equation. So some case you are able to find that your state equation, input to state equation also become linear, and your output also become linear, but some case you are not able to claim this. And due to that reason, now new concept comes into picture, that is called input and output linearization. And I have told you that why input and output linearization is little more relevant, because most of time whenever we are developing some system, then whatever internal things inside the system, that is actually worrying point for the developer only, but most of time users are just worrying about the input and output relation. So users are just able to know that what kind of input, what kind of tuning I will do, such that I will get this kind of particular output. So what button I will press such that my temperature is 25 degree. So that kind of things they are just worrying. So what next concept is suggesting, that there is no need to worry about the input to state linearization, just you can worry about the output. So for that I am going to start with very simple system, that is single input single output system. So I have just one control and one output. So but it is possible to show that same kind of methodology one can extend for multi input multi output system also. But let us first try to see that what is how much we can basically tell about the single input single output system. So here if you see, again I have same kind of structure, because I have told you that whenever we are talking about feedback linearization, at that time people found that if I have this kind of system, this is called affine in control system. So I have affine relationship basically, and if I have output, and for the existence and uniqueness of solution, whenever we are developing some kind of system, engineering system, then also we have to give guarantee that by designing control, whatever output we are getting, that is unique. And in order to give guarantee, if everything is smooth, everything is differentiable, then in most of the case, I am not telling always, one can give guarantee that whatever solution for some particular input, that is always unique. So basically same kind of things I am assuming. Again, I am assuming x belongs to Rn, and after that I have told you that not x belongs to Rn. Basically I have told you that whenever I have nonlinear system, then we are assuming that that always lie in certain region, and that region I have defined D. So x belongs to D, and D is subset of Rn. So whole space I am telling that that is Rn, and out of that only I am concentrated on D, and in this way we are defining the mapping. So whenever you are writing papers, please try to write that. And if you read some part of geometrical control theory, then basically if this vector f and g are sufficiently smooth. Sufficiently smooth means I can able to take the partial derivative of f with respect to x. Similarly, partial derivative of g with respect to x. So sufficiently smooth, sometime I need n time differentiability. If that is the case, then we are also telling this as a vector field. And from here you try to guess why we are telling basically that is a vector field, because whenever, means in classical way, whenever we are talking about some kind of vector quantity, I have some kind of magnitude, I have certain kind of direction. And whenever we are talking about rate of change, so what is physical interpretation of rate of change? Anyone?
The velocity.
Velocity. So somehow what we are telling, you might have seen that most of time whenever I am telling that something belongs to R, and after that I have some position like quantity, then x dot is the velocity like quantity. But here I have little more complicated case. I am not going to talk about a scalar thing now, because x belongs to Rn. Now fx has n number of component, because in order to match the dimension, you can see that x somehow belongs to Rn. So fx also belongs to Rn. So now these particular things, fx and gx, because whatever x dot, resultant x dot that comes into picture, that is result of fx and gx, and due to that reason this is also called the vector field. So same kind of extension of notion people are following. So in this course particularly I am going to avoid geometrical control. So whatever terminology that is useful, I am just going to give you the intuition of that terminology. Now let us try to see this. So what basically we are not telling, suppose now I have output, and here in order to make sure that with respect to output something is feedback linearizable, I have to make sure that that is differentiable, because now what I am going to do, I am going to express this system. So this system, I have input and I have certain kind of output yt, and I have a state xt, internal variable I have. After that what I am telling, that I am going to express this system in terms of input ut, and here I am going to express everything in terms of output and their higher derivative. So suppose I am talking about pth derivative, so I am going to express everything either in terms of output and their higher derivative. So what is obvious assumption we have to do for this? Anyone? I am going, yeah, derivative should exist first, and due to that reason you can see that I am assuming that h is sufficiently smooth, and d whatever domain I have taken in that particular domain, and due to that reason I am going to calculate dy by dt, and dy by dt I am also representing using y dot, and whenever you are writing dy by dt, now you can see that h is function of x, and x is function of t. Due to that reason, partial derivative comes into picture. So dou x, and after that I have x dot. And what I am going to do now, I am going to substitute x dot. Then you can see that this term comes into picture. Anyone has confusion on this up to here? Now let us try to see one more thing. This is a little bit more important. What I am telling that if y is output, and we already assume that this is single input single output system, it means that this belongs to R. Anyone has confusion on this? I have some kind of system where input u belongs to R and output y belongs to R, that I am assuming. So if you take derivative, then what is dimension of that? Y is a scalar, then what is derivative of that? That is a scalar or vector? Anyone?
Scalar.
A scalar only. So now you try to see that basically now this quantity, try to look inside this quantity, dou h by dou x. So this is a scalar or vector?
Vector.
Vector, because
And x dot is also vector. The multiplication will be a scalar.
yeah, so this is n cross 1,
n cross 1 and 1 cross n,
and this is dou x, because we are assuming that is already belongs to 1, so this is 1 cross n. So whenever you are taking derivative, so somehow dou h1, it means that dou h1 x by dou x1, dou h1 x by dou x2, like 1 cross n matrix. So basically h belongs to R only, so h you can write, there is no need to write h1, and after that dou hx by dou xn comes into picture. So I have a structure like this. Now what we have observed that here, in order to calculate y dot, I have to calculate partial derivative of something, and after that I have to multiply that with rate of change x dot. So actually this kind of notion basically comes into picture, and this notion has some specific name, and I am going to tell you that a specific name here, that is called basically Lie derivative. So again, what we have observed, that I am going to calculate derivative of something along fx. Fx is a scalar or vector?
Scalars.
Fx.
So vector.
Vector.
So basically what I am going to do, that hx, that is a scalar, but I have this particular hx has multivariable function, x belongs to Rn. So I am going to see the rate of change of this particular hx along the fx. Okay, and this particular quantity is called Lie derivative. I will tell you next class. I will tell you the all intuition, that what is meaning of Lie derivative, Lie bracket. After that, some more what is meaning of distribution, what is meaning of involutive property. These kind of terminology will come into picture whenever we are going to find that transformation. So we will reserve intuition for the next class. In today's lecture, just you try to understand the derivation. Okay, so basically you can now assume this as a symbol. So whenever we are writing LFHX, it means that I am telling that partial derivative of h with respect to x along the fx. So suppose if I am talking about LGHX, so what is meaning of LGHX? Anyone? Could you please expand this?
So dou h by dou x along gx.
Along gx. Okay, so please this kind of symbol in geometrical control most of time people are using, and I have told you that if you want to linearize something, then you have to apply geometrical control, and due to that reason geometrical control theory is very attractive in that prospect, that you have nonlinear system, but they are telling that there are several ways such that I can visualize nonlinear system like a linear system, or at least for the design point of view, even if I have nonlinear system, but I can design control based on linear control theory. After that, you can see here that I know what is meaning of LFHX here, and if you apply LG here, then basically now these things become argument. So dou LFH by dou X into GX, and in this way you are able to extend this notion like this and this. Anyone has confusion? Now if you are
Excuse
just
me, sir.
putting 0 here, then I have HX. Anyone?
Excuse me, sir. So, what is the meaning of along GX?
Okay, actually I have already told you that this kind of things I will clarify in next class, but okay, I will tell you.
Next class, sir.
Okay.
It's fine.
So just for hint, you try to understand, then things become little more transparent. Suppose you have some function x and fx. Okay, whenever you are calculating derivative, what is physical intuition? That tangent at this point.
Painting. Yes.
How basically you are calculating tangent? If I draw some proper shape, okay, here also that is possible. What you can, what basically you are doing, you are seeing the value here, you are seeing the value here, and h you are putting, and this value is suppose fx, then this is fx plus h, and after that we are doing fx minus, after that I have some kind of a structure like here. If you see correctly, then this become fx plus h minus fx by h, and after that you are telling limit h tending towards 0. So basically whenever you are calculating the derivative, first you zoom this point such that after zooming this become some kind of regular structure, and regular structure where I can apply again linear algebra. That is the role.
Yes. Yes, sir.
So basically calculus is not a new subject, that is just telling that how to apply the algebra, and how basically we are applying algebra by using limit, and limit is nothing but some kind of macroscope. So macroscope is telling that just zoom this point such that I have this kind of a structure, and once this kind of a structure comes into picture, then using trigonometry and algebra I can able to find everything. Okay, so trigonometry is telling how to find the slope, and after that algebra is telling how to manipulate, and limit. And what is limit? Limit is just
Extend to-
telling that how to do zooming. So limit is nothing but a process of zooming such that if I have continuously varying curve, then that becomes some kind of constant curve. So in this way you can interpret. Now I have difficulty here. You can see that fx and gx may or may not lie on same curve. Here fx plus h and fx is going to lie on same curve, but here I have little bit difficulty. You can see that fx belongs to Rn cross 1, gx belongs to Rn plus 1, but hx belongs to R just. Now what I have to do, I have to calculate the y dot. Y dot means again I am going to see the rate of change of this function h dot x, you can write. So that is basically, since this curve is varying based on x, and after that this curve is also changing with respect to time, so here somehow concept of derivative comes into picture, and here one extra quantity is there, and due to that reason I cannot define this quantity LFHX as just as a derivative, because already for derivative I have one quantity fx. Okay, and due to that reason you can see here that whenever you are calculating LF into hx, so basically this point and this point may not lie on the same space. It might possible that is lie on the another manifold. This point on one manifold and another point in this manifold, and due to that reason I have to introduce some new concept of derivative, and due to that reason Lie derivative comes into picture. In next class I will share some more story. Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Now, so notion wise, whenever now I am going to use this notion, because using this notion things become looks like little bit simpler, because here what is beauty of this notion, you can see that I am able to apply this LG several times, and after applying this LG several times, here you can see that LF k minus 1 I have written and LF, similarly LF 2 times, similarly I can apply LF LG 3 times n times, then simpler kind of notion comes into picture. So that is the beauty of this symbol. And now let us try to see one thing. I have this system, and suppose if you calculate derivative one time y dot, then this symbol comes into picture. Now you are become familiar with symbol, so due to that reason I am going to write in terms of symbol. Here you have to understand something more, and you. So what do you think for this system, when this control comes into picture, what is the condition such that I have output y, and I am telling that I can able to control this output y using control, because whenever you are controlling something, you again try to see this x dot equal to minus k signum x plus u, we are writing a d, and at that point we are telling, if that is greater than d, then x I am able to comment about the x. It means that I have, if I control the rate of change of some quantity, then I am able to talk about that particular quantity. Okay, anyone has confusion on this? What I am doing, I am controlling the rate but concluding about that quantity, because I have already told you that I cannot comment about x dot. Why I cannot comment about x dot whenever I have k signum x? Because instantaneous velocity might be non-zero. So I do not know what is behavior of x dot, but at least I know that what is behavior of x. So what calculus is telling, that if you are controlling the rate of change of some quantity, then you are able to talk about that quantity. So now I am telling that by this relation, under what condition I can talk about the behavior of output y. Anyone? Have you able to understand my question? Have you understood my question or not? Anyone? So okay, I will give one hint. Suppose LGHX, that is 0, then is it possible to control this output y dot?
No,
No,
sir.
sir.
No, sir. No.
LGHX must be greater than LFHX.
Yeah. No.
Not sure.
That
Non-zero.
greater than LF is not required. Just we have to make sure this should
Okay.
Non-zero.
be not equal to
Non-zero.
Not
0,
non-zero.
non-zero. So even if that is positive, negative, that doesn't matter for us. Just we have to make sure that LG into HX should not equal to 0. If that is not equal to 0, then it means that I can able to control this output y. But suppose LGHX is 0, then what happens? If LGHX is 0, then now I have relation like this. I have some relation LF into HX like this. So here on the first derivative of output, control is not going to appear explicitly. Same kind of things I have written, and if you solve some control problem, at that time this phenomena is very much obvious. You can take your output y, and it is possible to show that after first derivative control will not appear. I will give you very small example, then I think that things become little more transparent to you. Suppose now I have system like x1 dot equal to x2 and x2 dot equal to u plus dt. Very simple system I have considered. And suppose my output y equal to x1. Now calculate y dot. What is y dot? That is x1 dot. Okay. So what do you think? At x1 dot control is appear or not? Anyone?
No, no.
So control is basically not appear at x1 dot. So that is the difficulty we are facing, that control is not going to appear. Now what you can do, if control is not going to appear, then if you have to control quantity y, then now you have to see the next rate. So how to see the next rate? You have to again take one more time differentiation. Okay, and due to that reason you can see that I have calculated the second derivative y2. So how to calculate the second derivative? So this notion means this notion is called derivative. So if you are writing y power r, it means that is multiplication of y r time. But if you are writing in bracket, then meaning of this is derivative. Okay, anyone has confusion on this?
Excuse me, sir. In the previous example,
Okay.
y dot is equal to x2, and that x2 is itself a function of u.
And
So
if, no, if you consider y equal to x2, okay, then control comes into picture.
no,
But
sir,
I
no,
am
sir.
assuming,
Even in y is equal to x1, y dot is equal to x1 dot, which is equal to x2,
yeah,
and now x2 is itself become a function of u, since x2 dot is a function of u.
but explicitly that is implicitly.
Yes, sir, it would be implicit. Yes,
Yeah,
precisely.
implicitly, but I am talking about explicit relation.
Yes,
So
sir, it won't be explicit.
so now how to make sure that explicitly control is appear across the output? So for that, now I have to calculate next derivative. Okay, so in
Yes.
this particular simple example, you can see that I am going to calculate now y double dot, and that is nothing but x2 dot, and then I can tell that y dt comes into picture. So similar kind of things is written in complicated way. What I am telling now, if LGHX means those kind of term which is multiplied with control equal to 0, then basically y dot equal to LFHX, and due to that reason you have to calculate the higher derivative, that is represented by y subscript of 2. Then I have to take partial derivative with respect to, again, now you can see that once this term will not appear, then I have just term like LF into HX, and due to that reason I have dou by LF into HX, dou x, and dx by dt, and dx by dt is again I know that fx and fx plus gx into u. And now using this notion, whatever notion I have written here, that you can see that here LF, whenever I have 2 times LF into H, then how basically we are writing, and due to that reason this kind of notion I am going to write. Anyone has confusion on this? Anyone
No,
has
sir.
confusion?
No, sir.
Now let us try to see that basically whenever I have this kind of things, where it might possible that second time also control is not going to appear. In this way, it means that again I have this equal to 0. So I will give you one example, then things become again clear. X1 dot equal to x2, x2 dot equal to x3. I am taking very simple system due to that reason, because just I have to illustrate thing. Now if y equal to x1, then you can see that if you calculate first derivative, then basically control is not going to appear. If you calculate second derivative also, control is not going to appear. Now you have to talk about next derivative, then only control will appear. Okay, and similarly if I have a structure like this, x1 dot equal to x2, x2 dot equal to x3, and x3 dot equal to x4, and similarly up to x n dot equal to u plus dt, then you can see that you have to proceed at least n time to get explicit value of control. And this is for very simple system, but most of time simple is not like this. I have more complicated systems, and due to that reason I am going to write this some kind of complicated symbol. And what I am going to tell that if I differentiate up to rho minus 1 time, every time what I found that rho time, basically not rho minus 1 time, rho time, then what we found that up to rho minus 1 time this particular quantity becomes 0, and once I come to rho time, then this particular quantity become non-zero, and due to that reason this relation comes into picture. Anyone has confusion on this relation? Then please ask me how basically this relation comes into picture. Do you have any confusion? Anyone? What I am telling, y equal to hx, and after that what happens, y dot equal to lfhx, and in this particular process what basically we are assuming that, if you see the previous slide, then I am assuming lghx that equal to 0. So I have implicit thing here that lghx that equal to 0. Then I have this kind of situation. Again I will proceed further, and at that time I have this kind of things, and that is hx, and at that time now this particular quantity lghx now modify like lglfhx equal to 0. So every time you can see that lg remains the same, but I have modification here at this particular point. So this I am going to do this process up to rho time, and once you are going to do this process for rho time, it means that rho minus 1 time control is not going to appear. Then only I can able to write this kind of structure. Anyone has confusion on this?
No, sir.
Now if you do not have confusion, so now you can see that after doing rho time derivative I have this system. So now I can claim that what is my structure, I have input u, and whatever, now this is a state, you can just interpret this equation like a state to input. You can now, what is a state is y dot, y double dot up to y rho. So please be careful that original state in this particular process is again this x. So x belongs to D, that is subset of Rn. So this is my original state. Now what I have done, using output and their higher derivative, I have created some kind of virtual system. So I am assuming that whatever my output, that is rho time, at least rho time differentiable, then only I am able to create this kind of system. And once I have this kind of system, you can now come to the feedback linearization theory, that I have two different kind of uncertainty. Now you can see here that this particular uncertainty is multiplicative uncertainty, this is additive uncertainty. So what you can do, you can define control u, and you are knowing that this is not equal to 0, so that is invertible, and this is a scalar also. Because why I am telling this is a scalar, because every time y is a scalar, so either you can calculate y dot, y triple dot, y n dot, or y rho dot, everything is a scalar only. So this is also a scalar, and this is also a scalar. So whenever you have some kind of a scalar, then you can able to write like p by q plus. But please be careful, suppose if you have one matrix A as a sum matrix, then please do not write 1 by A. This is wrong notion. If A is matrix, then at that time you have to write A inverse. But if you have some scalar quantity, then most of time people are just writing 1 by some scalar quantity a is a scalar, then we are writing like this. At that time we are avoiding this kind of notion. In this way one can able to distinguish between a scalar and some kind of matrix. Okay, anyone has confusion on this? So after that, now you can see that if I design control like this, then this is my system. So my system is now rho time or p time. If this is p, then I have to write p. So this is basically p time differentiable, and this is like this. So in this way, what now I am claiming, that if you have some kind of system like x dot equal to fx plus gxu and y equal to hx, then by differentiating y for p time, I am able to get some kind of system. And if you apply some kind of control like this, then system is converted into some kind of linear system, and this is nothing but chain of integrator. I will tell you why this is chain of integrator now. So could you please tell me that why I have assumed that fx, gx and hx all are smooth? Anyone, by seeing this result?
Derivative is
Yeah.
valid.
Otherwise I cannot able to calculate the multiple derivative, because you can see that every time I have to calculate multiple derivative of fx also. Why I am telling? Because every time I minus one time we are calculating, so automatically this kind of things is involved, and due to that reason this should be n number of time differentiable. This particular quantity, at least that should be n number of time differentiable. And chain of integrator form, why basically we are telling that now what you can do, you can assume y as a y1, y dot as a y2, you can do definition, this kind of definition, y double dot as a y3. Then it is possible to show now y1 dot equal to y2, y2 dot equal to y3 up to y p dot equal to nu. And here 1 2 up to p, because p derivative, so I have to go to p time. Then we are getting system, whatever system I can also able to represent like this, and due to that reason this is called chain of integrator system. Anyone has confusion? Anyone has confusion till now? Then please ask me. Now you can see that I have one more important definition now, that is called relative degree. So what relative degree is telling, that you can take your output and differentiate that output and try to see that at what derivative control is going to explicitly appear. That is the relative degree of that system. So same kind of things I have written here, that nonlinear system x dot equal to fx plus gx into u and y equal to hx is said to have a relative degree rho or p, you can tell, if, and you can see that what I am telling, relative degree of system is basically lie between 1 to n. That is not the case always. I will tell you, I will give some example to you in region. And if this kind of things happens, it means that if this is not 0, then I cannot able to, because control will explicitly appear. Since this is 0 up to rho minus 1 time, due to that reason control is not going to appear. And at the last moment, when I am going to take the pth derivative or rhoth derivative, at that time this is going to appear. And due to that reason relative degree is rho or p, whatever you want, you can tell. So in this way I am telling that system is input output linearizable. And you can see that even if you forget the notion of Lie derivative or Lie bracket, all at that time also you can just take your output and try to do differentiation of this and try to see that when control is going to explicitly appear, and after that you can design control based on that specification. So even if I have nth order system, but suppose that out of nth order system is if control is going to appear just after third derivative, then I have to just design control for third order system. That is the beauty. Have you able to understood this point or not? Because most of time I have told you that by designing control, what is our objective? I have to control the output. Why? So now what I am going to do, I am not going to define my system in terms of input to state. I am going to define my system in terms of input to output. And with respect to output, I am going to see the dynamical behavior of system. And due to that reason, I am going to take successive differentiation. Once control will appear explicitly, I am going to do a stop differentiating. And after that, I am going to design control for that system. And after application of that control, we are going to give guarantee. We have to check that state is not going to blow up. So that we have to make sure. I will give some example where I will tell you that even if system is stable, but I cannot give guarantee that my whole system remains bonded. It might possible blow up behavior comes into picture. So now I have taken very simple example, that field control DC motor. We have several times, you have already seen about this example. So, and here X1 is field current, X2 is armature current, and X3 is angular velocity. So now what you can do, please make sure that this is the mathematical model, because you are already aware that how to do mathematical modeling of this. I have already talked about that, and due to that reason, now I am no longer going to talk about this. Now what is our problem? I have to control the speed. We have already seen that using sliding mode control, how to do a speed control problem. So here speed y is x3 and angular velocity means speed. Here speed, meaning of speed is angular velocity. You can see that in order to express this third order system, here I have third order system. So how to see order of system? Just you can see the number of differential equation. So I have third order of system. Now what I am going to do, I am going to pick the output, and after that I am going to differentiate it. And you can see that if you differentiate one time, that is y dot equal to x3 dot, that is theta x1 x2. So control is not going to appear here. Now what I am going to do, I am going to differentiate this particular quantity again. And after differentiating this, what happens, that if you do this process of differentiation, then after differentiating two times, now I have theta x1 x2 dot, theta x1 dot into x2, and x1 dot, you can see here I have minus ax1 plus u. So basically control is now explicitly going to appear on the second derivative. Okay, anyone has confusion up to here? Have you ever understood this calculation? This calculation is telling that means same term is repeated here. So I have theta x1 and x2. X2 is nothing but bx2 plus k minus cx x1 x3. So that is the meaning of this particular bracket. Now could you please tell me that what is relative degree of this system? If I select x3,
2, sir.
2. So basically original system is third order, but relative degree of this system, relative degree of the system is 2. But whenever you are writing relative degree, at that time you have to make sure that with respect to what you are talking about relative degree. So that is x3. Now suppose you are selecting output y equal to x1, then what is the relative degree? Anyone? Suppose
So 1.
that is just 1. Okay. So basically now relative degree is is depending on the choice of the output, that is no longer the property of the system. So if I have to just see that what is our objective. So if in this particular DC motor, if I have to just control the angular velocity, then or a speed, then there is no need to worry about other. Just you can take that, and after that try to do differentiation, and after that you try to see the system. If second order system, then design control for second order system, and after application of control try to see the behavior of this system. You can see that relative degree is 2 for this particular system, provided x2 not equal to 0. So we have to make sure that x2, and what is my x2 is armature current. So you have to make sure that armature current is always flowing through the circuit. Okay, and this assumption is okay, because I am not assuming that I am going to stop armature current at any point whenever some motor is in working condition, and due to that reason this assumption is basically feasible assumption I am telling. So up to here, any confusion, anyone? So what is beauty of relative degree? That if I have to just control the output, then we are selecting that particular output, and if you calculate the successive derivative, it is possible to show that order of control is going to reduce. Here I do not know how to design control. I have to control everything, and this system is non-linear now. But now I have one extra advantage also. If I express everything in terms of y equal to x3 and their higher derivative, then now system become feedback linearizable. It means that if I perfectly know the theta, means parameters of this motor, then I can tell that just I am going to design second order controller such that that will work for this non-linear third order system. That is the beauty. Anyone has confusion till now? Then please ask me. Anyone?
So can you just repeat this last point?
What I am telling, that initially whenever you are seeing the mathematical model of this system, then it is difficult to design this control U. Why? Because this system is non-linear. Why I am telling this system is non-linear? You can see that here multiplication of x1 and x3 is there, and x1, x2, x3 are the states of the system. Similarly, here I have multiplication of x1 and x2. Due to that reason, this is highly non-linear system. Now, once I select y equal to x3 as my output, then what happens now? I can express my system using y and their higher derivative, y and y dot I am telling. Then you can see here that my system has this kind of configuration. So you can give some name to this quantity. Suppose I am telling this as a something like this symbol I am using for this. So if you design u, that is equal to 1 by theta x2, and after that nu and minus z, then minus this symbol, then you can see that this system is now y double dot equal to nu. So with respect to output y equal to x3, this system is linear, second order linear system, and this particular system is third order non-linear system. So using the concept of relative degree, it is possible to show that if I just design second order controller, that will work for third order nonlinear system, provided all parameters a, b, c, k, theta are perfectly known. Are you able to understand, Alok?
Yes.
Now suppose if someone is telling that I know the each and every parameter of motor, then that is not realistic assumption. So what happens in this particular case, I can tell, okay, even if I do not know each and every parameter, I am going to select y equal to x3, and after that I am going to do y dot, and after calculating y dot I have x3 dot, and here control will not appear, and after that I am going to calculate y double dot where theta x1 dot and x2 plus theta x1 and x2 dot, this kind of things comes into picture because theta I am assuming that is constant. And after that, now you can see that if you actually do algebraic manipulation, then I have some term again like this. So f dash x or f dash y, you can write f dash y plus g dash y into u. This kind of term comes into picture. So I can assume that these two terms are uncertain if every parameter is not known to me. And here, what is y? Actually, you can represent like this, then things become more proper. y1 dot equal to y2, and y2 dot equal to now f dash y and g dash y into u, and where y is y1, y2. And what is y? y1 is y, and y2 is y dot. So in this way, I will get this kind of system. Okay. So this is what is order of this system? Anyone? What is order of this system? Order of this system is 2, second order system. Suppose parameters of motor is not known, then this is not known, this is not known, because somehow after substitution of the all differential equation, you can see from here that I am going to substitute a x1 plus u, b x1 k, c x1 x2, theta x1 x2, and a b c theta all are parameters of the system. And due to that reason, what I am telling that these quantities are not well known to me, but I know the approximate value. And now you are knowing from sliding mode control that if this is remains bounded, then how to design first order sliding mode control. Anyone has confusion on this? Because I have already dealt this kind of problem now. That if I have, suppose if you remember, then if I have this kind of problem, fx plus gx into u, and if this is only one input and x is one dimensional, then I am telling that how to apply k signum x and what is value of gain k such that x is tending towards 0. Now I have second order system, so I will design this kind of manifold y2. Again, what happens in terms of s, this problem is again converted like this kind of problem. So this symbol means if something is not well defined, or we are telling that this is inclusion. Inclusion basically if something is uncertain, then that kind of things comes into picture. And here s. So you can define sliding surface, some stable sliding surface, by choosing c greater than 0, and after that now you have to convert whole problem like s dot, that is subset of k signum s, if you apply, and in that way by seeing the upper bound of these two uncertainty you can design the k. And what happens at that time, again reduced order system s is 0, and if you substitute there, then y and y1 and y2 both tending towards 0. So in this way, by second order sliding mode control, you are able to control this plant even if y dash and g dash is not well known to me. Anyone has confusion? Have you able to understood this point or not? Anyone? Then please again ask me, I will repeat it. So Nidhi,
Yes, sir.
are you able to understood this point? Why I am asking you, because in robotic problem most of time motor is involved, and at that time in order to control the motor we have to solve similar kind of problem. Okay, so first step you have to do the feedback linearization, and output based linearization is enough.
Yes.
Means, and after that you have to design another several kind of controller, because and obviously robust control is required because most of time parameter is not well known to me. Okay,
Yes.
because if you see the dynamic condition of motor, because robot is always running, so robot is in running condition, so parameters and actually external situation is always changing, and due to that reason we have to become little more careful about the assumption that all parameters are known to me. Okay, now let us try to
Yes.
take very simple example. Again, I have taken example from the robotics. So I have actually car like robot. Car like robot means most of time if you see the car, then I have four wheels, and after that you might have seen that in our means whatever car you have, most of time engine is coupled with the front wheel. Okay, what about the bicycle? Anyone? Bicycle has same model? Alok?
Yes, sir. Actually, we turn with the front wheel. It's front wheel drive only.
In case of bicycle, you can okay. Do you have any bicycle?
Yes, sir.
So what do you think? Chain is connected to which wheel?
Sir, both
Rear wheel.
wheels.
So that is not like this. Okay, and we have no control on front wheel. You can see that what basically we are doing, that back wheel is basically moving due to chain, but front wheel is moving due to friction. Why I am telling that is moving due to friction? You try to see that once front wheel front we are doing pedaling, at that time this wheel start rotating, and after that what happens? What is tendency of this wheel? They try to oppose the motion. They are telling now I do not willing to move, because there is no control on this particular front wheel. So what they are going to do? They are going to apply some kind of force like this, opposite force. Then what friction is going to do?
It will apply an equal and opposite force in the opposite direction.
Opposite direction. So basically front wheel is moving due to friction. So now could you please tell me that is it possible to drive this bicycle on icy road? Suppose I have
No,
ice.
sir.
No,
It is
sir.
more difficult because
Yeah,
of
more difficult.
low coefficient of friction.
Yeah, so basically now you can see that friction is not always bad. Sometimes it is very good. We are also able to work just due to friction. So here, and how beautifully people has utilized this concept. You can see that they are able to analyze that just we have to drive one wheel, then automatically another wheel is driven by the friction. Now could you please comment here same kind of things? Now in place of the back wheel, now they are telling okay, now I am going to just control the front wheel, and once you will do that, then back wheel will automatically, obviously there should be connection. If that is not connected means some way, but there is no need to apply some kind of force. Now try to see the I have two different modeling way. One modeling is called kinematic model, another is called dynamic model. So in kinematic model only position and velocity is involved most of time, but whenever we are talking about dynamic model, at that time what happens, that force also comes into picture. Now here you try to see that I have two different kind of motion. One motion is rotation and another is translation. Somehow I have to move car from one point to another point only, and if you see carefully, then rotation motion will also generate translation. Okay, and why that is possible? Anyone?
Due to friction.
Yeah,
Not
you can tell due to friction, but some more physics is involved. Suppose could you please tell me that what is relation between angular velocity and linear velocity?
r theta means omega into r equals to v.
So obviously na, so whenever we have some kind of means some kind of rotation, then obviously some kind of translation occur.
Yes, sir.
Not always, but means we can expect that. So if you do kinematic model of this car, we are assuming that this car is moving in plane where this is x-axis, this is y-axis. So I have one component, and here psi, I have written psi is nothing but the orientation angle. So orientation angle of this particular vehicle, and after that I am assuming that this particular car is moving with constant velocity, and this is the length from here to here. This length means from rear wheel to front wheel, that is L. And after that, what we are assuming that then that I have theta is the steering angle, means I can steer this front angle, that is basically theta. Now, so basically try to see the coordinate system here. So basically now if you write the kinematic equation, then I have to collect things in x direction and y direction, and due to that reason x dot v cos psi comes into picture. This is basically psi, you can interpret like this. This is basically psi. And psi dot, it is possible to show that v by L tan theta and theta dot equal to u. So what is my suggestion? For time being, don't worry, just you can believe this is the mathematical or kinematic model of some system. And here I am going to tell you one more interesting thing, that for control engineer there is no need to worry about the mathematical model. So if you have mathematical model and if you know the input and output, also you are able to design the control system. So now since you are knowing the concept of relative degree, so you have input output, so just please concentrate on input output and you have some kind of mathematical model. So how to proceed now? Just you can see the output and always some objective, you have to know the objective. So objective is to drive this particular car from one point to another point. That is my objective now. So I know the objective, I know the input, I know the output. So input u is theta dot is basically a steering angle. So I am going to control the steering angle. So due to that reason I have to see their rate. Whenever we have to control some quantity, then we have to see the rate. Now let us see that I want to drive this car on some specific path, and I have defined that path y equal to gx, because I am driving in two-dimensional plane. So basically x has some component here and some component here, and I am assuming that there exists some kind of implicit relationship between y and gx, like this, y equal to gx, and basically I am assuming this is some kind of line only. Due to that reason this is belongs to R. So this kind of assumption I have. And after that, now you can see that what I am going to do, since I have to solve tracking problem, so every time I have to force output equal to gx. Due to that reason I am going to define some kind of error variable. Suppose you have defined this error variable x1, that is like y minus gx. So whatever, either you can define e1 or x1, whatever you want you can define, that doesn't matter for me. And after that, now you can see that x1 dot is nothing but y dot minus g dot x. Again, whenever we are writing g dot x, means you have to do dou h by dou x by dou x. And after that, what I am telling that if you differentiate this for n time, then what happens, at least on third time control is going to explicitly appear. So please do this kind of calculation. You can take this, and after that calculate the first derivative, second derivative, third derivative, and properly you can define x1, x2, x3. Now you can see that what is order of this system, original system? Anyone?
Fourth order.
Fourth order this is. But here, by fixing this particular path, because most of time whenever we are solving robotic problem, then we are assuming that path is known to me, at least locally that is known to me. And after that, with respect to that path, we are going to express everything, because somehow I have to maintain that path. So in order to maintain that path, we have to make sure that whatever error between y and gx should be 0. And how to make force or make sure that error equal to 0? Just you have to make sure their rate. And due to that reason, what I am going to do, I am going to take first derivative. Now x1 is my output, error is my output now, second derivative, and after doing third time derivative, I am able to get the control explicitly. So basically with respect to input and output, so this is linear system, because x1 dot equal to x2, x2 dot equal to, so finally what I am assuming that after doing this kind of calculation, I will get this kind of model x2 dot equal to x3 and x3 dot equal to some structure. Now you have to calculate. I have actually skipped this calculation and u. So now you can see that this is linear like system. And what is x1 output and what is x2, that is a higher derivative of output. So with respect to output and their higher order derivative, this is now linear like system, and I can design control u. Either if everything is known, then I can perfectly able to design this kind of things 1 by gx, and after that nu minus fx I will design, and finally what happens, I have system like x1 dot equal to x2, x2 dot equal to x3 and x3 dot equal to nu, like this. But if that is not perfectly known, then I will take the help of sliding mode control or any other robust control technique. And in next class, what I am going to do, till now what we found that if I have some system and just I have to control some system, then what we have done that we are selected the output, and with respect to output, what I am telling that now how to design control. One more thing I am going to highlight here, please try to see some structure. Suppose I have this kind of a structure x dot equal to u and x2 dot equal to x2. Suppose I have this system, and if I select y equal to x2, so what is relative degree of this system?
2.
Please check it. Y dot equal to x2 dot, and
No,
what is
sir.
x2 dot? Again x2. Y double dot is x2 dot. What is x2 dot? Again x2. So what is relative degree of this system?
Infinite
Sir,
maybe,
no, not
or not
convergent.
defined.
Not defined. Okay. So I cannot define relative degree each and every time. Okay. One more important thing, try to see that if system in this form, then since below part is somehow autonomous, I can treat autonomous subsystem, and I know that this system is unstable. So whatever control you can design here, finally what happens, x2, because if you see the solution, so this is you can also treat like this, or you can also see solution with respect to time x2 and time t. So that is solution, I will do both thing geometrically as well as e power t. So this is the solution. So if you start from here, then you are going to blow up, or you can think like this, x2 is one dimensional, and after that x2 dot is positive, due to that reason I am going to diverge. Even if that is negative, then you are going to diverge. So this class of system where
Sir, unstable.
unstable, and suppose now I am going to create some other system with negative sign. So what do you think, this system is stable or unstable? Negative sign
Stable.
cube.
Stable.
So this subsystem is stable. So now I can design some kind of stable control, or if just I control x1, then system become perfectly controllable. Okay, because whatever remaining dynamics, that is internally stable. But if remaining dynamics is not internally stable, then things become not so simple. So I have
Sir,
some
here
name
what is the output, sir?
here output is x1. Both case you can assume output as x1. So you can see that relative degree is 1. So what I found that by designing one dimensional control, I can able to control this system. So
No, sir. In previous case here, output was x2, so we were not converging.
no. So
That
in previous case, what I am telling
yes,
that in this case I cannot able to define the relative degree. Just
yes, sir.
just I am going to give one kind of counter example, because I have told you na that always relative degree one cannot define. Due to that reason, I have given this example.
Okay, sir, okay.
Okay, so relative degree is not defined. or not defined. And here now I am talking about some other problem. What I am telling, even if relative degree is well defined, suppose y equal to x1. So what is relative degree of this system? You can take
One, one.
y dot equal to x1 dot equal to u. So now you can design control u such that I can control y or x1, you can tell. But you can see that due to internal structure, I cannot able to control x2 because x2 is no longer in my hand. Okay, and this class of system is called non-minimum phase system. So I have non-minimum phase system. So
So
if you
where
see,
states are not stable.
so remaining state means
Yes, sir.
remaining
Except
state
output.
except output. So output and their higher derivative, I can able to put equal to 0. Then whatever remaining dynamics, that if that is unstable, then that system is called non-minimum phase system. And if output and their higher derivative, if I will keep 0, and whatever remaining system, if that is inherently stable, then we are going to use what that is called minimum phase
Minimum
system.
phase.
So this is the definition in terms of nonlinear control. Because in linear control, we are by seeing pole and zero, we are defining non-minimum or minimum phase system. In case of nonlinear system, with help of relative degree, we are defining some system as a minimum system or non-minimum phase system. So what is definition? We are telling that, okay, if you have some system, then you can take output and try to express that system in terms of output and their higher derivative. After that, whatever remaining dynamics and using control, if you have well defined relative degree, then you can design control in that way. I can able to force output and their higher derivative equal to 0. Then whatever remaining dynamics, if that is stable, then system is minimum phase. If that is not, then system is non-minimum phase. Okay, so controlling a non-minimum phase system is again a very difficult task. And those who are working on power electronics, please try to see that, particularly for converter. I do not remember that which particular class of controller satisfy this property, non-minimum phase system property. At that time, now we have to worry about how to control the non-minimum phase system. Sometimes it is not possible. Why? Because you can see that in this particular example, there is no way to influence x2. There is no connection at all, and due to that reason I have to add some extra subsystem if we have some non-minimum phase system. That is the one way. Sometimes I have, there are certain way, if non-minimum phase system is slow enough and I can able to only working up to some limited time, then I can tell that, okay, in this meantime this state is not going to blow up, and in that way I am able to control. So again, that is one of the difficult problem, how to control non-minimum phase system, and that is one of the open problem till now. So very limited means resource is available in this direction, that how to control non-minimum phase system. Non-minimum phase system is non-linear non-minimum phase system, I am telling, because for linear one we have certain way, but for non-linear non-minimum phase system, still that is very active area of research. Now in next class, I am going to tell you that how to find transformation if we will talk about full state linearization. Full state linearization means input to state linearization, because in previous class just I talked that there exists z equal to tx. Now we have to make sure that how to calculate that kind of transformation, and for that some geometrical theory is required. So next class I will talk about that geometrical theory, or what I will do, I will take the input output linearization now, and I am going to define the higher order sliding mode control. So let us means see, either I will take the problem of sliding mode control or I will continue this part. Okay. So up to here, anyone has confusion? So let us try to first summarize the today's lecture. So what we have seen, I have some system, particularly I am talking about single input, single output system, and if I know my output and output is well behaved, then it is possible to show that with help of output and higher derivative, I can design the control system such that I am able to control the original plant, original nonlinear plant. So in some case, if you express your system in terms of output and their higher derivative, then some part we are unable to capture. So forcing output and their higher derivative equal to 0, whatever remaining part, that is called either minimum phase system or non-minimum phase system. So if that is stable, then that is called minimum phase. If that is not stable, then that is called non-minimum phase. Okay, so now I am going to close class from my side. So if you have any question, then please let me know. Anyone? Saptadeep?
No, sir. Okay.
So Saptadeep, what is your job now? Go to power converters and try to see that which power converter is basically satisfying the property of non-minimum phase system.
Boost right up plane 0, which converter of light up plane 0, sir, that is non-minimum phase system. That means boost and buck boost both are non-minimum phase.
Okay, so actually controlling that system is little bit challenging.
Yes, sir. That means when we give the for right up plane 0, the gain curve gets a plus 20 dB per decade, but for the phase there is a minus 90 phase reversal. That is the challenge. That means we have to compromise in between for PM controller design. That was.
So any other student? Any other student? Do you have any question?
No, sir, it's fine, sir.